Brought to you by Hallow, the world's #1 prayer app.
So my question is, how do I overcome my fears of going broke and recognize when my saving habits become excessive?
Tell me more.
Well, so as long as I can remember, I've always just kind of had this, like, even whenever I, started working at like a very young age, helping in like my mom's business and stuff, I've just kind of had this mindset of as soon as I got money, I didn't do anything with it. I stowed it away and I just let it. The mindset was just to let it grow. Where
does that come from? Where does that story originate?
I don't know, and I feel like it's probably one of the earliest, I guess, bits of wisdom that I ever remember hearing from my parents and from my grandparents is the idea of a penny saved is a penny earned.
Okay.
And since then, since I, worked all throughout high school and then worked all throughout college, and then since graduating college, I've always kind of set these milestones where I just thought to myself, okay, once I achieve this much in the bank, I'm good. And it doesn't mean I'll be stupid. It doesn't mean I'll, go crazy. But I don't have to worry as much anymore because I've got this much stowed away. And every single time I achieve it, I just end up thinking, well, just a little bit more. And then I'll be good. And then I'll feel comfortable not being so panicky whenever I have to spend money that I haven't kind of worked myself up to spend.
So tell me about your close dude friendships.
Ooh, so I've got, my best friend in the world has been my best friend since the 3rd grade. We still talk all the time. He still lives in our hometown.
How far away
Missouri.
Is that?
Average 3 hours.
Tell me about 3 or 4 men in your life right now that you hang out with on a regular basis.
Oh boy.
All right, tell me about your job.
Oh boy. So I work at a bank, and currently I'm looking around at other things to possibly, become my job. I'm planning on starting school next year. And so I'm kind of in this position where I don't know if I should stay in my job because I really don't like it. But I've got a good 6 months before starting school, so I don't know if I should find something else to kind of take.
What are you going to study?
I'm actually planning to join the seminary and study pastoral ministry.
Okay. Are you married?
Yes.
Okay. How's your marriage?
I think it's good. We actually just got married in October, so pretty new.
That was an excellent diversion from answering the question. How's your marriage?
It's good. It's good. It's kind of, since I've decided to.
You're so great. If you had to give it a grade,
like on a scale from A to F or 1 to 10, or
yes, A to F.
Okay. I'd probably say B.
An 88 or an 79.5?
Say 83.
I think you're being very generous, but I'll go with you on that.
Okay.
Tell me about your relationship with your mom and dad.
It's good. So it was definite.
Also not great.
It's gotten better. Especially with my dad, there was some tension growing up where I thought he, was trying to make me be one person and I wanted to be a different kind of person. And I didn't feel like I could really go to him and talk to him about how I felt. That all has since been resolved. And so with both my parents, it's probably the best it's ever been. Typical kind of, it just feels like typical growing pains and stuff throughout high school and college.
How's your physical health?
Good. It's actually, I've actually been going to the gym for about 10 months now after never going consistently.
Awesome.
So I know it marginally speaking, I'm probably in the best shape I've ever been in, even though I wouldn't say I'm in necessarily great shape.
No, that's fantastic. How's your faith?
That's also been really great. I got baptized actually almost a year ago, exactly. And so my wife grew up Catholic and fell away from the Catholic Church just due to negative experiences that she had. And so whenever we moved into the house that we're in right now, we decided to try and cultivate that area of our lives again. And so we started going to a church that's just down the street from us, and we were immediately welcomed with huge open arms and got super involved in it. And so that's partly the reason why I've wanted to study pastoral ministry, is to be able to kind of be that person who welcomes people in and can be able to make that kind of difference in their lives.
Tell me about your financial life.
Just in terms of how much I make, how much I have saved, how much.
How much do y'all owe?
Really nothing. She has a car loan that
something.
Yes. So and I am debt free aside from a credit card that has a relatively small balance.
How are you going to pay for school?
We have a 529 plan set up with the state of Missouri.
So your tuition is going to be covered?
Yes.
And your living expenses to drop out of the workforce?
Yes.
Which, by the way, I would strongly recommend don't do that. But that's a whole other call. So here's
what I don't plan to stop working completely.
Okay. So here's what I'm poking around the edges. I don't think. Let me say it this way. When somebody has a true fear and they run through the middle of that fear, there's often a resolution. In nerd speak, therapeutically, they would call it exposure therapy. I'm scared of snakes. So I'm going to sit down with somebody, we're going to talk about snakes, and they're going to come back to my office. We're going to talk about snakes again. They're going to come back to my office, and we're going to get crayons, and we're going to draw silly pictures of snakes. Then we're going to draw silly pictures again. And then in 3 or 4 weeks, I'm going to show you like internet photos of snakes. And then a few weeks later, we're going to write a story about you holding a snake. And then I'm going to show you pictures of snakes eating rats and mice. We're leading to you holding a live python in my office, and you're laughing. You've run into that fear, taught your body over time through managing stress, and when your body starts to go to fight or flight or freeze, and then actually exposing yourself to this alleged threat and teaching your body that it's okay. It's not a danger. And then your body literally goes, whew, oh, okay. And we're moving on. If in your case, you have a fear of lack, of not enough, I'm going to run out. You can usually identify that fear by meeting whatever standard you've set, and then your body instantly moves the finish line. That's a good barometer that what you are afraid of is a proxy war for something else going on in your life that's out of control, and your body's trying to solve it in another way. And so the questions I asked you often are, people will be broke. They owe 6 figures in student loans. They got a mortgage they can't afford. They got 2 car payments on depreciating assets, which is still the stupidest thing we do as Americans, is buy cars on payment plans. But like your body knows you are one bad email from getting fired and your boss pulling your job, firing you, and you lose your house, your car, your food. And so your body would be failing you if it let you sleep all night. But instead of dealing with that particular issue, because that's scary and hard and takes radical lifestyle change, it's easy to look at something like savings or look at something like body fat percentage, or look at something like how straight and clean your clothes are. Like, just, it's a total diversion. And so going through the things we just went through, how's your friendship? If your body recognizes you're alone, if you have slowly over time collapsed multiple friendships, work camaraderie, faith camaraderie, doing hard things together, and you have dumped it all on this brand new marriage, and your wife is rattling under the weight as though she was sitting under a squat rack, and you just kept adding plate after plate after plate. And by the way, men do this a lot. We cut our friendships off. We cut our going out after work off. We stop going to concerts. We stop going hunting with other people. We just go by ourselves, and we dump everything. Sex, co-parenting, co-imagining, co-dreaming, friendship. Our wives have to carry all of it, and they can't carry that weight. It's too heavy. So maybe that's it. Or maybe it's finances. Or maybe it's you're a brand new person of faith in this new faith tradition, and you're about to quit your career and go to graduate school to become that's a pretty abrupt switch. Or it's a pretty abrupt, it's a recipe for burnout real quick. Because one of the core tenets of graduate school and theology is they unwind your faith for you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then they help you put it back together. Sometimes they just unwind it and leave you with a handful of yarn and say, all right, go make a sweater. See ya. And everyone just freezes to death out in the cold, right? All that to say is this. My big question for you is, what is your body trying to protect you from? Either now or in the past or potentially in the future. And it's using scarcity. It's using this imagined lack of. What is it trying to protect you from? Is it this idea that you were always told you weren't enough? And now you have this woman that you committed your life to saying, okay, I want to start a family too. And you're like, oh gosh, what happens if, like, I don't know if you can carry that weight? Like, what do you think your body's trying to protect you from?
I don't know. And I've thought about it a lot, and it's like, I don't remember anyone ever telling me that I wasn't enough or that I wasn't good enough. But
do you believe that?
I know in my head that it's not true, but it's just, I feel like I've internalized it for so long that I've still got to, I guess, I don't know what the term is, de-internalize the idea that I'm not good enough.
In what areas do you think you're not good enough? Just be blunt and honest, because I promise you, of the people listening to this show, you're not the only one. Looks, money, smarts,
pretty much everything. Because I can't. I'm like the worst person in the world at taking a compliment for anything. And I don't really know where that stems from. It's just, for as long as I can remember, I've just had this tendency to just think that I'm less than.
That often comes from a childhood based on performance metrics. You'll get this report card, or dad will look at you with disgust.
Yeah, that
mom will say something like, hey, if you do that, your dad's going to get really, really pissed. Or your dad will say, hey, your mom doesn't like that. You need to stop because your mom's going to, and you realize at a really young age, oh, it's your job to make sure the adults are okay.
Yeah, there was a good amount of that.
So you end up carrying this really heavy weight, which essentially tells a young child, you must do X, Y, or Z, or we will withhold our love and affection for you. And intellectually, you know that's not true. You know their parents love you. But in your nervous system, your tiny little body, your 14-year-old body, when it was starting to get armpit hair and a little bit taller, it saw your dad's face. It felt that reactor in your mom's chest. It saw her go when you needed new shoes. Or when you said, hey, mom, I'm out of deodorant. And she was down to her last dollar and she went, God. And you realized, oh, my body odor causes my mom stress. It's little bitty pebbles in a backpack, and you suddenly wake up when you're older and that backpack's heavy. And the only way I've seen people work through this is to be very specific about the things they believe they lack in, and to do two things. Number one, find usually a group of people, a counselor, a spouse, and a couple of buddies, to outsource it in the short term. I still do this to this day. I will walk out of my closet and I will look at my wife before I'm headed out to a speaking event where they're paying me an ungodly amount of money to come speak to somebody's company. And I'll say, do I look okay? Or I'll say, is this shirt look okay? And what that means to my wife is, I don't feel very attractive today. I feel like I've put on 10 pounds. I feel all bloated. I don't feel like I look good in this. And she just goes, shirt looks great. And I have learned to trust her that she's not going to send me out into the world. My social media person, her name is Lauren. I was pushing back on a video she wanted to post. Like, I look like this. And she stopped me and she said, my job is to make you look good. Let me do my job. And I went, whew, okay. So when I don't believe it, I trust them. I outsource it. Kelly, all the time. I'm like, I didn't think I handled that call well. Kelly will say, no, you did that call. That call was great. All right, I didn't feel it, but I trust her. Okay, that's number one. Number two, you have to do the work in those areas where you know you have lack. Do you need to lose 30 pounds? Do you need to go to graduate school? Do you need to slow down and not quit your job yet, even though it, quote unquote, doesn't feel fulfilling? Do you need to put in 6 months or 10 months or a year of hard work at a job, just doing everything they ask plus more, and then deciding a year from now, is grad school and Christian ministry the thing to go do right this second? Or, hey, honey, let's read a book. I've never been married. You've never been married. We just took on this big responsibility. We don't even know how to do it. And now we're just staring at each other 10 months in. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, no,
so
I do.
There's some outsourcing, and then there's some metrics. And then for you, brother, you've got a number. What's your number? What's your, oh, then I'll be okay number in savings?
I don't, it changes constantly.
What was the last one?
Oh, boy. Well, and the thing is, it's gotten to the point where I've just kind of resigned myself to, well, I'll know when I find it.
Okay.
And then
that's
doesn't do anything.
Yeah, you don't want to go down that road. Here's the math problem I want you to solve. 6 months of you get fired and your wife gets fired. Can y'all maintain your house, your vehicles, food, and your utilities? You wouldn't go out to eat anymore. You'd probably have to cut your subscriptions, but could y'all make it for 6 months?
Yeah.
And I want you to write down that number. And then I want you, anything beyond that, I want you to begin to spend it. I want you to begin to save it. I want you all to start working towards a house, working towards kids. You have a 529 plan. I want you to begin thinking about your kids' future 529 plans. I want you to say, we've got this number. Beyond that is my body trying to protect me from something else. I'm going to go solve that something else because it's not about math. And here's what you have to do. You just have to practice. Be uncomfortable. Some people, it sounds crazy, have to put, I will buy myself a thing in their budget because they struggle with scarcity. Others, like me, have to say, I won't buy all these things because I try to soothe myself with purchases.
Mm-hmm.
Some people have to put in there, I will be reckless with the way I tip today. That would be probably the place I would recommend you start, is finding one person a day that you can bless financially once you've reached that 6-month mark. And what you're doing is you're practicing a muscle of giving away. And you're going to do it $10 at a time, $30 at a time. You and your wife are going to go eat somewhere cheap. And you're going to spend $30 on your meal, and you're going to tip $50. So the whole meal is $80 out the door. And you're going to feel it. but you're going to wake up the next day and you're not going to be dead. It's going to be like that snake analogy. You're going to expose yourself to lack intentionally. I'm going to give it away and bless somebody else. And what you're going to find is, oh, we're okay. We made it to the next month. We made it to the next month. Okay, we're okay. We're doing it. We're doing this. All right. So you're practicing giving. You're practicing spending. And then I also want you to look at your clutter in your house. How much crap do y'all have? Clothes, collections, toys, this is that. 809 screwdrivers. Begin paring down some of your things. Give your body a chance to breathe. Hang on the line. I'm going to send you a copy of Building a Non-Anxious Life. I'm going to hook you up with that book, and I want you and your wife to read it together, and it can be your roadmap for your new marriage. Come up with that number, 6 months of an emergency fund, and then beyond that, begin practicing long-term investing, practicing saving for a thing, a house, a down payment of 20%, 10%, 5%, I don't care. Begin giving money away. You're not going to be able to think your way out of this. You're going to have to act your way out of this and outsource your way out of this. Call me anytime, my brother. You're in for a long ride because I think you got some unwinding to do from when you were younger. But, man, I need you to hear me say this. You are on the right path. Download the Hallow app today and get 3 free months at hallow.com/Delony.